Hush, hush, whisper who dares. Christopher Robin is saying his prayers. You had that read to you before you could read it yourself. The boy it was written for went away to school, where the other boys found a gramophone recording of him reciting it. They played it at him until he learned to box. Stick around to the end for the true hair-raising origin that turned a girl's disappearance into a kid's story. Number 5 is a childhood favorite. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Nobody ever goes in. Nobody ever comes out. In 1930, Roald Dahl was 13 and at Repton, a boarding school in Derbyshire. Cadbury had a factory nearby. Every so often, a plain grey cardboard box arrived for each boy. Inside were 12 chocolate bars. 11 were new inventions with no names, only numbers. 1 was a control. The boys were given a scoring sheet and told to grade them. Dahl wrote about it 54 years later in his memoir, Boy. He wrote that he used to imagine inventing a bar good enough to astonish Mr. Cadbury himself. The chocolate companies were at war. Cadbury and Rowntree each placed men inside the other's factory to find out how the machines worked. Dahl knew this. He put it in the book. Then there is the part that was taken out. In the first edition, published in 1964, the Oompa Loompas are not fantasy creatures. They are described as black pygmies, brought from the deepest part of the African jungle in packing cases to work in the factory, and paid in cocoa beans. In 1970, the NAACP made a statement about it. Dahl revised the book. In the 1973 edition, the Oompa Loompas have rosy white skin and golden brown hair, and they come from Loompaland. The factory in the book is Cadbury at Bourneville. The tasting room is a grey box delivered to a school. The spies stealing recipes were not invented. And the workforce nobody asks about was, in the first printing, described. The 1964 text still exists. First editions sell at auction. Nobody destroyed it. The new one was printed on top of it. Number 4. The Wind in the Willows. There is nothing, absolutely nothing, half so much worth doing as simply messing about in boats. Alistair Grahame was born on the 12th of May, 1900. He was blind in his right eye and had a pronounced squint. His parents called him Mouse. In the summer of 1907, he went on holiday to Littlehampton without his father. His father wrote to him. The letters are about a toad who buys a motorcar, crashes it, steals another one, and goes to prison. Those letters are the book. Kenneth Grahame did not write The Wind in the Willows and then read it to his son. He posted it to him, one chapter at a time, to a rented house at the seaside. His biographers identified Toad with Alistair. The book came out in 1908. The Times said that, as a contribution to natural history, it was negligible. Alistair went up to Oxford. He struggled there. On the morning of the 8th of May, 1920, 4 days before his 20th birthday, he was found on the railway line at Port Meadow. The inquest returned a verdict of accidental death. Nobody at the inquest used the other word. Kenneth Grahame never published another book. Toad in the book is a boy who could not see out of one eye and was told he could do anything. The motor car is the thing he was allowed to want. The bedtime stories in the book are letters, and the letters survive. The river the animals never leave is the Thames. The letters are in the Bodleian Library in Oxford. Grahame left the manuscript to the Bodleian too, along with the royalties. He is buried in Holywell Cemetery, next to Alistair. The line at Port Meadow still carries trains. Number 3. Peter Pan. All children except one grow up. In 1897, J.M. Barrie was walking his dog in Kensington Gardens when he met two small boys. They were George and Jack Llewellyn Davies. There were 5 brothers in all: George, Jack, Peter, Michael, and Nico. Barrie attached himself to the family. When the boys' father died of cancer of the jaw in 1907, and their mother died of cancer 3 years later, Barrie became their guardian. Peter Pan opened on the 27th of December, 1904, The Boy Who Would Not Grow Up. George Llewellyn Davies was killed on the 15th of March, 1915, at St. Eloi in Belgium. He was 21. Barrie had written to him that month. Michael Llewellyn Davies drowned on the 19th of May, 1921, in a pool in the Thames at Sandford, near Oxford. He was 20. He was learning to swim. He drowned with a friend, Rupert Buxton. The verdict was accidental death. Peter Llewellyn Davies spent his life being introduced as Peter Pan. He hated it. He called the play that terrible masterpiece. He became a publisher. On the 5th of April, 1960, at the age of 63, he walked to Sloane Square Station and stepped in front of a train. The newspapers put Peter Pan in the headline. Peter in the play is Peter Llewellyn Davies. The Darling children are the brothers. Neverland is Kensington Gardens. The name Wendy is generally traced to Margaret Henley, the daughter of Barrie's friend, who called him her friendy and could not say it properly. She died in 1894. She was 5. The statue of Peter Pan in Kensington Gardens was put up overnight on the 1st of May 1912, so that children would find it in the morning and assume it had arrived by itself. It is still there. In 1929, Barrie gave the rights to Great Ormond Street Hospital. The hospital still receives the money. Number 2. Winnie the Pooh. Wherever they go, and whatever happens to them on the way, in that enchanted place on the top of the forest, a little boy and his bear will always be playing. On the 24th of August, 1914, a Canadian Army veterinarian named Harry Colborne got off a train at White River, Ontario. A man on the platform had a black bear cub. Colborne bought her for $20. He named her Winnipeg, after his home city, and then Winnie. She went to England with the regiment. When Colborne was posted to France in December 1914, he left her at London Zoo. He meant to collect her. He never did. She lived there until 1934, and children were allowed inside the enclosure to feed her. In 1921, a boy called Christopher Robin Milne was given a bear from Harrods for his first birthday. He named it after the bear at the zoo. His father published 4 books in 4 years. He was 4 years old when the first one came out. By 1928, Christopher Robin was the most famous child in England. He was sent away to school. The other boys played him a recording of himself. He wrote about it in 1974 in a memoir called The Enchanted Places. He wrote that it seemed to him almost that his father had got to where he was by climbing upon his infant shoulders, that he had filched from him his good name, and had left him with nothing but the empty fame of being his son. He opened a bookshop in Dartmouth. Customers came in to look at him. He was estranged from his mother from 1956 until she died in 1971. She did not see him again. Christopher Robin in the books is a real boy. Pooh is a bear bought at Harrods in 1921. Winnie was a live bear at London Zoo, bought at a railway station for $20. The 100-acre wood is the 500-acre wood in Ashdown Forest, Sussex. And the little boy in the last line of the last book was a man who did not want the toys back. The toys are in New York. Pooh, Piglet, Eeyore, Kanga and Tigger in a glass case in the public library. Roo was lost in an orchard in the 1930s. Nobody found him. Number 1. Alice in Wonderland. Who in the world am I? Ah, that's the great puzzle. Here is the thing about Lewis Carroll and Alice Liddell. The story goes like this. A 40-year-old Oxford mathematician photographed a little girl, wrote a book for her, and wanted to marry her. Most people alive today have heard some version of it. It feels true. It has the weight of something that was covered up. Here is what is actually in the record. Charles Dodgson kept a diary for most of his adult life, in 13 volumes. 4 of them are missing. Pages are cut out of the ones that survive. The cutting was not done by a stranger. It was done by his family after he died. In June 1863, something happened between Dodgson and the Liddells, and he was not welcome at their house afterwards. The page covering the 27th to the 29th of June 1863 was removed. In 1996, a researcher named Caroline Leach found a note in the Dodgson family papers, written by his niece, summarizing the missing page before it was destroyed. The note says the trouble was gossip, that Dodgson was using the children to pay court to their governess, and that he was supposed soon to be courting Ina. Ina was Lorena, Alice's older sister. The note does not name Alice. Leach published this in 1999. The story did not change. This does not prove anything about what he felt. It proves that the story we all tell rests on a document nobody has read, because it no longer exists. The evidence for the version everyone knows is an absence, cut pages, missing volumes, a family that pruned him, and then wrote his biography. His nephew published that biography in 1898. The image of the gentle bachelor who only liked the company of children came from the people holding the scissors. And a hole in a record does not stay empty, because we cannot look at the gap where a page used to be and see nothing there. So we fill it with the worst thing we can imagine, and then call the filling evidence. And the more carefully something was removed, the more certain we become that we know what it said. The pages are gone. Nobody has them. Nobody is going to find them. We decided what was on them anyway.